Hi everybody, welcome to Saturday Live at the Backyard Bird Center. Been kind of crazy with the start of this today, but today we're talking about water. And if you've watched me, if you're a regular follower, you know that I am a big proponent of providing water for birds. In the winter months, unfrozen water is essential for their survival. In really dry periods of time, in drought conditions, things like that, water is obviously very important for birds. But during the rest of the year and most of the year, some people think that water becomes less important. Well, one time that is really important is in the spring. Your resident birds, your cardinals and chickadees and titmice, the guys who visit your bird feeders, visit your backyard, they know where your food sources are, they know where your water sources are, they know where escape cover is, because that's their territory. But in spring and again in fall, migrant birds like this guy right here, this little common yellowthroat, has spent the winter down probably in southern Mexico, maybe in Central America, and they're moving back to their nesting territories up here. Those and thrushes and tanagers and orioles and a lot of these birds that spend their winters, our winters, in the tropics are on their way back. Now those guys are migrating at night. They usually fly 100, 125, some 150 miles a night. And when the sun comes up, they dive down because they got to refuel, and they find a patch of trees, they find your yard, they find somewhere where they can start feeding immediately on insects, and they have to drink. Now, they don't know where the water sources are. They have to trust their instincts. One way to really help those birds is by having your water move. Moving water is a magnet for birds, especially migrating birds. This is in Ruth's yard, this is a waterfall, rock waterfall going, is dripping down into that pool, and the sound of that water hitting water, and also the rippling effect visually and into the sound, lets birds know, especially birds that don't know where they are, where the water source is. And there's lots of different ways to do that. You can go have fancy 4-tier fountains, 3-tier fountains in your yard that cascade and make lots of wonderful sounds with still pools for them. This is our yard. The very first day we kind of got our tiered fountain going in our backyard, and that sound is so important. But you may not have that kind of a setup. You may not be able to have a 4-tier fountain or dedicate that much space. You may just have a bird bath. But there are many ways to do that too. Here is an example of a bird bath with a bubbler that is shooting water in the air, and it hitting the bird bath as it returns down is again that magnet, and that's something that's fairly easy to do. We also have what are called misters, and that's these guys when it sprays the mist of water in the air, and these are great. Like, you can use them to water your plants and out on the outside. Hummingbirds in particular love this kind of presentation of water, so they can fly through it and then go land somewhere and preen and clean their feathers and straighten their feathers back out. Other birds will too, while other birds will like to get in the water and bathe and flip around and flip the water up on bodies, like cardinals and many other birds. Hummingbirds like to fly through that mist. So misters and bubblers, lots of different kinds of bubblers. Most of these have an aquarium pump in them, and they have some type of artificial rock on top that the water is shot up, and then it cascades back down over the rock. This one is I call it a granite waterfall, and then this one is a layered rock waterfall. So there's lots of different ways that you can make the water move in your bird bath or in your fountain that create sound that is very important. Not to mention that moving water keeps mosquitoes from being able to lay their eggs on the water, because they remember mosquito eggs have to be laid on the surface, and the young develop because they have to breathe air. So moving water makes those eggs sink to the bottom and kills them. So they're good against mosquitoes as well in your bird bath fountains and things. So that moving water is critically important. And like I said, not now if you want to see different birds in your yard, a lot of birds that don't eat seeds, things like that common yellowthroat and the tanagers and thrushes and those birds, the way to be able to attract them to their yard is through water. And believe me, Ruth's fountain has she has a great yard list. She has so many more birds on her yard list than I do, because she's had this fountain going for years, and she's added to it. She calls it her creek. And that alone, with the vegetation around it, she gets really good birds coming to drink from her fountain. And there's videos on the YouTube channel of Ruth's fountain that are going, and birds that are visiting it. And I can't recommend that type of a setup enough if you have the ability to do that. If you don't, just make sure that you provide some source of water for your birds and the migrating birds that are coming through. So add moving water if you want to attract birds. Great idea for a program. If you liked it, please give us a like, give us a share. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Until then, come on, let's talk birds.